is there any advice you can give new freelancers on how to build confidence around their rates? Example would be like, should they take any gig that comes in the door, or should they be comfortable letting gigs that are not fairly priced for the time invested go?
It's a tricky one.
Yeah.
Because if you don't pick up the gig, I certainly will.
Well, there we go. That's the advice for everyone who's watching. So
because yeah, I mean it is a very tricky question, that, because you don't want to devalue yourself and you don't want to pick up stuff that's not worth doing, and there are things. I did a podcast last week that I posted, and I was talking about when we did the mixing and mastering on the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Now, we were asked to do that, and there was no budget for us to do it because they were taking a cut. And this was back in 2012, so this was a long time ago. And we hadn't done any sort of big Hollywood movie before. So when people were saying, like, they come to us and was like, yeah, can you mix and master this? And we was like, yeah. They said to us that there's no budget. And we was like, and that was us kind of, we had a situation there where we could have gone, no, we're not doing it. We're not doing it for free. And try and play hardball. And we wouldn't have got the job because the budget wasn't there. It just wasn't there for that, because what they were doing was basically taking a long shot on us. They basically went to a composer, then the composer come to us. The composer didn't get anything because Sony Pictures were taking a long shot on him, and then ultimately he was then come to us. I'm working on this massive project for Spider-Man. Can you do it? There's no budget. Please, can you do it? And we had to sit down and kind of say, right, okay, is this going to materialize into what this guy's saying it is? And we had to take kind of a punt on it, and we did. And thankfully, it turned out that it was all came true, and it ended up that we did do the mixing and mastering on Spider-Man. But what I will say there is that even though we didn't get paid for that, we got paid for it, because a week later we got X-Men Days of Future Past. That was a week later.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Off of the back of X-Men, we got X-Men Apocalypse. So there's, it's a knock-on effect. And then I know now that I can quite honestly say now that we wouldn't have done hundreds of Hollywood movies had it not been for that first one, because the thing with working in Hollywood is when you've got these films obviously have massive budgets. It doesn't matter how much it costs, it just needs to be the best it possibly can. It doesn't necessarily matter. So when it's very difficult to get that first one, because if someone's looking at you as a mixing and mastering studio, for instance, they're looking at you and going, well, they haven't done any films yet. So getting that first one is so hard. But then once you get a couple, then it's like, oh, well, they've done that. Okay, they're cool. They can do this. So had I not taken that job on, things might be very, very different.
That's good. So you're saying also is that if you see a big logo that you have a chance to work with, it's worth taking it on the chin.
Yeah, I'll tell you what as well. Yeah. I've done a lot of work for free. And it's basically not so much now, but way back 2012, 2013, 2014, when we were kind of building the business, establishing the business. And that was because it was basically, if, for instance, it was a big name, if it was a big name and it was like, right, well, we'll do the mastering and we won't charge you. But what we get out of that deal is, yeah, we've done the mastering, fine. It took, a couple of hours of our time. But in exchange, we've now got this huge client on our client list because, it's a two-way street. It's not like we're doing it for free and then we're not getting anything out of it. We're always getting something out of it.
And you love the project. Right?
Exactly.
You get
Well,
to
yeah.
work on the movie.
Well, there is, yeah,
It's the
there's
fun
that sort of
part.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. I mean, ideally, ideally, you always get paid for yourself, but it's that cliche thing of getting paid in exposure. Yeah, you can get paid in exposure. It's just how you utilize the exposure that you got as to whether you get any extra work out of that exposure. I hear it all the time with DJs. They say, you know, I don't want to get paid in exposure for this DJ set. Well, if you've gone and done that DJ set and you've kind of then got the exposure and few people have seen you and then booked you off of the back of that, then it's well worth it. It's really worthwhile. The fact is if you're getting all that exposure and not getting anything out of it, either A, you're not good enough to get anything out of it, and the reason you've got, you know, not getting anything out of it is just generally because you're not good enough at what you're doing, or it's that you're not utilizing the exposure well enough, like by talking about it, by letting everybody know that you did XYZ. I mean, the reason why we got X-Men a week after, I'm quite confident it is because of this, was because we let everybody know that we did Spider-Man, and we posted it out, we put it on the website and all that sort of stuff. And then, a week later, it's not a coincidence, is it? You don't just get X-Men out of the blue, do you?
No, something similar happened to myself, where it's just this month I got like a video game soundtrack, which is my biggest project that I've worked on. And I just chatted to them randomly, and I offered to do it for free. And from that, I've managed to do outreach to other people, and then I've got other composers and stuff who have now opened up. Well, it wasn't there at all before.
That's it.
So I definitely see the importance of definitely taking it on the chin and giving it your all, because you can use it yourself with outreach and things like that, you know?
Yeah. So it's you know, if as long as if you do, say for instance you've done a computer game, as long as you can then advertise that you've done that computer game, you know, even just doing the mastering of computer game, for instance, you've then massively benefited from doing that without, you know, that's worth, what you've done there is worth £100, for instance. Let's say £100 for the mastering that you've all done. It's worth that, having that credit on your list and having that ability to advertise that you've done that and show you as an established mastering engineer. That in itself is worth more than £100.
True.
Especially at the start of the game. You know what I mean?